So every day we start with species of the day. And species of the day is a way for us to go over local species that we might see in our own backyard and appreciate them and get to know more about them. Our species of the day that we're going to sample is the five-lined skink. And not only are we going to learn about the five-lined skink, but I'm also going to help you learn how to take notes over the five-lined skink and any other species of the day. So the first thing I would do is write your date on the paper and the common name of the species, which in this case is the five-lined skink. Then I always have next to it the scientific name. And in this case, the scientific name is Eumeces fasciatus. Notice that the E is capitalized. That's the genus name, Eumeces. And then the fasciatus starts with a lowercase f. That's the species name. Together, they make up the scientific name. Scientific names are always underlined or italicized. Since I always write in print, I will underline it here. When I'm on the computer, I usually use italics because that looks cleaner. Never both. That's a problem. So the five-lined skink is a local species we might see around here. It gets its name because it has 5 lines. Makes sense. There's another species of skink around here called the broad-headed skink, and it is kind of a greenish and reddish color. Skinks are a little different than lizards. Their heads are a bit broader, and they don't have much of a neck that you notice. Lizards tend to go in on the neck area. We do have a striped lizard that's commonly confused with the five-lined skink, and that's called the six-line race runner. But you would never be able to catch one of those. Those things are way too fast. So the first bullet says it's found all over the eastern and central United States. That's the range. That's where we might find the five-lined skink. The next bullet says it likes moist and wooded habitats, so that refers to its habitat. Where within that range would we find it? We're not going to find it near the river. We're going to find it in moist, wooded areas, like a forest, where the forest floor stays rather moist all the time. The next bullet says that they're insectivorous. That means that they like to eat insects. Anytime you see the word vor, it means what they eat. The next bullet says they mate from May to July, and they lay 15 to 18 eggs. During the mating season from May to July, that's going to be dependent on their range. The more southern part of their range, they're going to mate earlier. The more northern part, they're going to mate later, and anywhere from 15 to 18 eggs. And the female will protect the eggs, and it takes about 6 weeks until they hatch. Most reptiles don't do parental care, so this is something that's kind of interesting. She protects the eggs. She wraps her body around them. She doesn't let predators get them. She will leave the eggs and go get food. She will also bask in the sun and warm up her body, and then take that heat back to the eggs and warm up her eggs. The fact that she protects their eggs uses up a lot of energy. She's not out hunting nearly as much as she would be otherwise, so she does lose some of her body mass during this time. The next bullet says that they can drop their tail in order to escape predators. This is pretty cool. They have some fracture zones where the tail can drop. They don't even bleed. And then the tails will still wiggle because the cells haven't died. And they'll run around without a tail, and they'll eventually regrow their tail. If you ever find one with a stumpy tail or a tail that you can very easily see that it changes color, that means that at one point they have dropped their tail. Another thing about them is that they carry chiggers. They're known for carrying chiggers. However, I've picked them up a lot, and I've never had trouble with chiggers. And lastly, I like to end these a lot of times with a video or a funny story. Today you get a funny story. One time, several years ago, I was outside with my mother, and she found one of these on a tree. And she said, "Jill, what is that?" And so I grabbed it, and I held it by the leg, and I showed it to her and helped her identify it. And I was showing her, all what her tuition dollars had gone to get that I could identify lizards in the woods. So then that night, we went to dinner with this very nice little guy that I was dating. He was meeting my parents for the first time, and she very proudly told him that Jill caught a skank today. And I'm like, "Oh, Mom, a skink. Don't ever say names, ever." But luckily, he wasn't too freaked out, and he still married me, so he doesn't mind that my mom confuses skinks with skanks. So I hope this helps you. I hope you got to see my note-taking skills and see what's expected of you during Species of the Day.